Yo.
echoes of pain. These are good, these are good. Cold and empty, lifeless remains. These are good.
Hello and welcome to Valence League Split 4. It's going to be a Division 2A game. We have Ronin Myra taking on Ablaze. I am your play-by-play today. I will be Jay Real and I am joined by J7 to take us through with the color casting.
Welcome everybody here for an amazing evening today on this Valence League, and hopefully we're gonna have a great game. We have two teams facing off against each other, like already announced. Ronin Myra today, starting on the blue side, if I'm not mistaken, as well as Ablaze on the red side, as the logos kind of indicate. That's actually quite spicy, and Jiriel, looking forward to a pleasant evening.
Yeah, it will be one indeed. As both these teams looking pretty good. They both got 1 point each. They are going to be looking to pick up even more as we do go into this series. And both teams have some interesting mix of players. I'm definitely excited to see how some of these players. There are a few matches that we will talk about a little bit later in terms of the actual player versus player. But all in all, it should be a good showing from both sides.
Definitely. Yeah, we're going to get into the champion selection pretty shortly so we can have an idea of what's going on for that draft. They do seem to have some aligning champions on the blue and on the red side, so they have a few champions that might be contested for, as well as the usual meta picks. So we will see if they go for personal bans or meta bans in just a second here. But until then, J-Will, I think, have you heard about these teams, heard from them, seen them anywhere? Because this is my first time that I'm hearing about them.
Yes, it is also my debut. So again, it's also new to me. I haven't seen these teams play just yet, but the double debut means it's going to be extra spicy. It means we're going to get to see it firsthand here and really get to gauge how they're playing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to this. I'm really excited to see some League of Legends as we get into the champion selection here. So we're going to have a great little introduction about what these guys think is the priority right now on the Rift. We can see that the misfortune of first. Okay, that is intriguing because it is definitely not too much of a meta ban. That is more a target ban. Looking forward to how this will develop as we have the answer Kaiser, so very bot lane focused right now.
Yeah, and both of these ADCs are packing a bit of a punch. Misfortune, D. Kenny B's main champion, and definitely someone that you need to not mess around with as the Kindred going to be taken away. That is Typo's main jungle, as they are really just target selecting these bans, as you said, not really going for any meta stuff. Yeah. Kaisar and Shen taken away there from the side of Ablaze, and so far a pretty spicy ban phase.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, Kindred does make sense. Sure, how Typo has a few games on it with a good win ratio, 64% when it comes to that. But overall, it's a really strong jungle as well if she gets going, but she needs those marks to get online. Now with the Shen off the map, meaning no cross-map plays happening today in the top lane, as well as maybe a support pick, Shen, that has been quite common recently. And then, the Zac, really good out-of-fork jungler, can greatly increase your gank potential in the jungle. So far, we have only bot lane and jungle focus, and we'll see what the last ban will be. It will be a Bard. Okay, yet another bot lane focus. So right now we have no mid lane. I think that would then go over to the second rotations of the ban, seeming like this would be, the bot lane first picked up. If we are seeing a Soraka support, it's an interesting first choice though.
Yeah, the Bard ban away is pretty hog, but I will say Soraka first pick. I am a little bit surprised. I know the Rakore does play some enchanters, but I am surprised they locked in Soraka so early. Normally you'd see it maybe in the second rotation from the blue side. Normally the jungles do get picked up early, or maybe the ADCs if they are top priority. But interesting, we'll see how the rest of the draft does go. Lilia being locked in, which is not one that I expected, but it is also a really good flex recently, both top and jungle.
Yeah, and definitely Lilia being locked in brings you some potential damage over time in those team fights. However, if she falls behind, she is pretty much only going to be useful with her bowling ball, as we call it here. So the second she falls behind, her jungle matchup is kind of rough. But if she has a good start, her clear is actually quite decent. And she can definitely bring a lot to the table with a 5-man sleep, for example, in the middle of everybody. And if she gets going, really hard to catch up again. However, the Senna now, another scaling champion on the board here. And this brings a lot to the table as well. Obviously, can be flexed into fasting Senna and the support role. Also back to the AD carry, and then you put like an AP support with her. On the other side, we have the Ashe as an answer. Really strong right now, preferred by a lot of teams. Quite reasonable because she has that extra range, that extra poke in lane, and does really good. She can be an ultimate bot, or she can be ultra damage in lane, and the set as well. I do assume this will be top lane.
Yeah, the set is a really popular pick for Gandhi, so locking that one in does secure a little bit of comfort for the side of Ronin. And the Ash pick there is pretty nice with the Soraka. I think maybe a Seraphine would have been a preference for myself, but if they don't play the Seraphine, then Soraka will do a pretty good job as well. It's always good to keep your members alive. And the Senna picked up for the extra healing as well. I would like to see it paired with either a Swain, if it's going to be an AP carry, or, as you said, go fasting Senna with something like a big tank. And engage tanks is what Azoko does play, so I'm not going to be too surprised if that is what we see locked in. It's the Aurelia, they're going to be picked up in the mid lane, and that is definitely one of Monty's better champions and a very, very powerful pick right now in the meta.
Yeah, I mean, Aurelia kind of surprising to blind pick, but it does make sense if you're comfortable on it. However, now in the second ban phase, we can see that the mid lane bans are coming already out, so they are definitely looking to get this Aurelia a good matchup here, and if they do so, they have a quite strong early to mid game. She gets going basically at any point. She gets her stack, she gets her passive, and she's going. And the second she gets a kill or a small lead in CS or plating, I think that lane's going to be very, very rough for whoever has to face it. The only thing I would see a problem against her would be like a Yasuo or Yone, which already one of them is banned out.
Yeah, and Yasuo is a pick that iTown does like to play, so they do need to be a little bit cautious about that. The Xin Zhao ban taken out, and I like the Xin Zhao ban. I think it's really strong. It's pretty good into Lilia as well because you can get the gap closed. Obviously, Lilia all about basically being able to run away from you, and if you can dash straight to her, it's not a good time. So taking that one out is going to be pretty strong. It also limits the amount of effect you can have on a bot lane because Ashe Soraka don't really have that much mobility, so not going to be able to escape Camille there. Going to be the last ban away from Ronin.
And you can kind of see they are basically dictating already what they have picked and want to secure that what has been picked so far does not get counted, because they're definitely not banning ahead of the last 4 picks here. They're totally not looking at that whatsoever. They're basically just saying, we picked Lilia, we don't want since our really good matchup for us, and the other guys picked a set, so we don't want to have Camille against us. Just get those lanes that have been locked in going and show that they are doing well. And now a Mundo, that is very surprising. We do love some Mundo. I think Jay really going to be happy about this one as well.
We do love some Mundo. Mundo is my favorite champion in the game. I love Mundo being played. It's normally played top lane. I'm more of a jungler, so I do take him into the jungle. But Mundo top intercept is a bit interesting. It can definitely have a winning matchup, but you do have to be careful for those haymakers. We'll see how they do play this one out. As Olaf going to be locked in, and jungler that has kind of not really seen too much daylight recently, but he is going to be brought through as Akali locked in as the final pick. It is definitely a strong lock-in, though, and one that they do like to play. So Hound going to be looking to flex those AP muscles. The rest of his team is a D, so Yasuo probably not the best pick.
Yeah, it does make sense to pick up the Akali last year. I mean, if she gets going, or if she gets any kind of lead, again, really good assassin at this point, can basically deal with whoever she wants. Like, she's a great mid-lane champion that times her attacks. It's not like a full-on engage and then she's out of the fight. It's basically, she times when she goes back in, she can play around her Fog of War, obviously, and her Shroud. But yeah, obviously what's important is that the Akali, being the sole source of AP, really puts her on a spot where she needs to perform. If she does not, I think it's very easy itemization here for the red side, for Ablaze. Ablaze is right side, right?
Ablaze is the right side, yep.
Yeah, okay. For Ablaze, basically, because then they just have to itemize against AD damage, and yeah, then it will be really, really fast and over in the mid game. However, the Olaf, as you mentioned, somebody that we don't see too often on the Rift anymore, but it brings to the table constant slows, constant slowing people down, constant fighting, skirmishing, and Akali does excel really, really well at helping your jungler in those pretty much skirmishes in the river that we can have. On the bot lane, the Leona being locked in. JWL, I think this is going to give us an indication that indeed Senna will not be fasting but pick up some CS. And at that point, I think we kind of lose the aggressiveness of a Senna in the lane. Like, she becomes very defensive, very passive. She's just going to farm because her attack speed is very low early on. And Ashe and Soraka definitely have the poke advantage. However, if they do get caught by a Leona, who we know is very strong, as soon as she hits level 2, we have maybe somebody being caught out, especially the Soraka. If she gets caught, she will be blown up.
Yeah, and I personally think that the Leona is a really nice pick with the Senna, because what Senna will lack in damage in the early game, Leona can definitely make up for that. And also with the passive from Leona, you can kind of proc Senna's damage even higher, so it will kind of make up a little bit for that. I will say though, Ashe Soraka definitely going to have a lot of poke. They have a lot of annoyance factor in this lane, so I'm not going to be expecting any crazy kills in the early game, but if the potential is there, it's definitely going to be coming from the side of Ablaze, and Lilia will be set up pretty nicely. Olaf, however, not going to have the same luxury. The best lane for him to gank from his own team setup is probably the top side in set until that level 6 where Ashe will get that arrow. So for him, it might be a little bit of a quiet early game, which could actually bode really well for Lilia.
Yeah, I mean, Lilia, again, she needs that security early game. Her early game is pretty weak. She's not really dealing damage, nor she doing anything. And the only thing she does do is like run around and annoy people. But the second she gets at level 6, she comes online really hard because being asleep, kind of, you know it, when facing a Zori, it's that effect. You're just basically unable to move. You pray that somebody doesn't hit you. But yeah, when it comes to Lilia, it's a beautiful setup mechanic that she has in her kits. On the other hand, in Olav, kind of ignoring CC, really good pick into Lilia, negating that kind of sleep coming through, but it will definitely hurt him as well that he's an HP-based champion, and Lilia normally itemizes towards Liandry's or other HP damage items. Therefore, yeah, she will do quite well into the matchup, but she's definitely not able to take on an Olaf alone, which I don't think many junglers are, so therefore we have a quite one-sided jungle matchup, at least in the early 6 levels.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think like with the early levels, Olaf obviously a bit of a monster. His power clearing as well will keep him very much in the race with Lilia, who is notorious for her clear speed. But it becomes a sentiment where if Olaf isn't really able to start building a lead for himself, he can fall off really hard. And when it comes to the Ragnarok, yes, getting to center on the backline is pretty crucial, but she may not be the main focus for a long time. That Irelia, that Lilia, they are going to be a lot of damage, a lot of danger. And also if Mundo gets ahead, we've seen it in many a game. If Mundo starts to crack open the game, get those towers, get that lead, he himself can become a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Well, looking at what's going on right now, we have 5 seconds left before we get to see those beautiful loading screen, because that will give us an indication of how aggressive Akali and Set are willing to play their lane as well as the earlier, especially towards the bot lane. I'm looking maybe at a Soraka with a barrier, who might know that Soraka is very squishy. But yeah, we're getting into this loading screen. Will give us an indication of what they have in mind for summoner spells, for wounds, all that good stuff. Until then, hopefully, yeah, there we go. We can see Set with the Conquer in the top lane, Mundo with this Grasp of the Undying. So yeah, teleport running on both of them. And there's what I mentioned, the Akali coming in with an Ignite teleport. I mean, it does make sense. You have quite a lot of mobility on the champion, especially when you hit that level 6. So yeah, that extra kill pressure into the mid lane. And Aurelia surprisingly chose the TP. Obviously, for the late game here, it's going to give you an Irelia that is able to side lane later on, bringing you this 1-3-1 composition where Lilia could pretty much excel with a Leona engage. But I do really think that they should look towards team fighting, so I'm a bit surprised to see the TP coming in.
Yeah, we do see the predict in the Twitch chat. Let us know who you think is going to win this game one. Put your channel points on the line. People have been dropping stacks in this betting side. 55k over to the side of Ronin. 2.2 over to the side of Ablaze. Make sure you put your money where your mouth is and bet in the chat as we do load into this game. And it is going to be a bit of a banger for the game one.
Yeah, definitely a banger. Nearly. Okay, I'm at 10. Let's go. You tell me.
Yeah, I'm at 10.
There we go. We get the champions onto the Rift. Everybody is here. Everybody is enjoying themselves. Let's have a great game one here. And it does look like so far everybody running on the base into the 5-man standard lineup. Just secure your own side of the map. Let nobody go through. We'll be looking out for some early wards, maybe some spotting of anything that is important, because it's very important to track both these junglers. Again, they don't want to run into each other. It's not beneficial for either side. Olaf definitely has obviously the advantage in the 1v1, but I think he's very much just going to be happy to clear reset and then look for a gank, because if that ghost is not going to be used early on, it's not as useful as you might think, because early on you can just run down champions that have no boots. Really good summoner spell, like on a Hecarim, for example. Olaf does tend to take it sometimes if he doesn't want Predator or some sorts of more engaged form, but Conqueror definitely makes sense on him, no doubt there. And the bot lane, Hail of Blades into an Glacial Augment, so that is, again, we have the Queen of Frost playing Hail of Blades and the Queen of the Souls playing the Slow Freeze, kind of iconic there and ironic at the same time. But yeah, starting junglers on the red buff, both of them, meaning they will not meet at the Scuttle Crab if there's no shenanigans in jungle paths. And Leon actually, look at this, dumped in a small little ward above the red buff to track this Olaf, so if he decides to go towards the chickens, he will be definitely spotted.
Yeah, and I am a little bit surprised that Olaf is starting on the red buff. I think the blue start is a little bit better because you can just clear a lot faster. You can do your blue, Grom, Wolves. You don't have to worry about mana, so you can keep spamming the Undertow and really just push through the camps. As Monty there, going to get a little bit of a small trade onto Hound, and is definitely looking to assert their pressure. You know, they are Aurelia, they are very dangerous, and when you do get that 4-stack passive, you can take on anyone.
Yeah, and so far it looks like standard jungling. Lydia actually picking up the crops and Olaf as well, so they're going for full clear. This is very interesting. I mean, we do expected this, but it's very interesting to see that both junglers actually opt into no shenanigans early on. So let's see how fast the clear will be gone from one side. We have level 2 advantage on the bot lane, but Leona does miss her first engage. In the mid lane, some trading. And yeah, this is what I meant. Like Soraka, Ashe, even though they're level behind right now, they're not too afraid because they have the range advantage and the poke advantage.
Yeah, and it does really rely on those end plays landing or potentially the last embrace to start off this fight. And to be honest, if you are the Kenny B, you don't really need to be looking for too much early because you scale really well into the late game. You just need to stack those souls and then let that do the work for you. And if you don't really give Ashe any advantages, you're not going to have to worry too much. Going back to the Halo Blades on Ashe, I'm not really that big a fan of it. I think there are other runes that would have done better, but admittedly, I don't play too much ADC. Maybe it's the new wave.
I mean, Halo Blades is pretty common right now, especially since the domination is really, really useful for you. Monty actually taking a lot of damage there under the turret, and luckily he didn't get the aggro. But yeah, he's pretty much forced to weak out. As you can see on the minimap right now, he's going back in the bot lane, just shenanigans left and right again. Each and everyone just kind of trading level 3 advantage again, but it's evened out just a second later. In the top lane, we saw also some trading. Mundo actually half HP, so he is in potential danger since Olaf at the top Scuttle Crab. He started on the bottom. And you can see here the speed of Lilia clear. Look at this. She cleared all of her jungle and got the Scuttle Crab. Meanwhile, Olaf is only now getting to his last camp.
Yeah, and I really like the reset there from Typo. The fact that she decided to get the full clear off, and then you're just ready. No ganks on the map right now. Aurelia was in base, and your bot lane is pushed in. So instead of, walking around trying to find something, they decide, you know what, let's just base, let's recall, and let's get ourselves back onto the top side of the map, ready for the Crocs to spawn, or potentially for the gank in top lane. As Set is pushing the Mundo pretty deep.
Definitely the top lane is where she should be right now. She needs to give relief to Crown King here on this Mundo. He's a bit struggling. Obviously, the early on Mundo should only win if he hits his cleavers. But yeah, nowadays Mundo is more about actually staying healthy. And we can see Set there being 4 HP nearly. So he's definitely in a good position. And the lane's pushing towards him. Unlucky though for him.
It's all about the cleavers. Right now, Creon there stepping forward. He's going to take the Haymaker to the face. That is a lot of damage, but we'll be able to trade back pretty decently on to Gandhi there. So, able to take it pretty even. And I will say, Mundo, very, very powerful still in the early game. I do agree with you, though. You need to hit those cleavers. You need to get yourself in a situation where you can start to stack those and really start to whittle down Set's HP and potentially flash that Haymaker when it does come to the order.
Yeah. Luckily for Mundo, he can stay on range with those cleavers, because otherwise Set would have a huge advantage, since he's kind of made for those small trades. 1-2, 1-2 is what he says, like a boxer. He's coming out with his Q and powered autos, left and right passive as well. In the mid lane, Monster is really looking to fight the whole time, but he's taking bad trades over and over again. Like, look at this. He does not keep winning those, as we have an early Drake attempt here, forced by the Olaf, who got a quick reset and came back with a pickaxe, and obviously he's doing well if he gets a bit low on HP. But yeah, with the help of his bot lane, who are now going for reset, definitely picks up that first Drake. Kind of have to critique there that the bot lane wasted a lot of time, because this gives Senna a huge CS lead already. Like, she's already a full wave ahead right now, and the wave is kind of freezing for them.
Yeah, and it's the sentiment where the Olaf is always going to have that early jungle prio, and Typo isn't going to be able to really contest that, especially not without the bot lane kind of scaling a little bit more. But as time goes on, 3rd, 4th Dragon, I do think that contention will be there for the side of Ablaze.
Yeah. Actually, quite surprised that Olaf did call his bot lane over for this. I mean, maybe he was aware that Lilia was onto the bot side quadrant, so he was just making sure. But yeah, putting your own bot lane behind when the enemy bot lane is kind of scaling, and therefore any lead that goes towards them is already helpful. You can see right now there are 2 waves down this bot lane, 12 CS, but obviously they have a wave to collect, and the top lane, the usual trading. Actually, set engage.
Yeah, Set is going to use the showstopper there to throw it down. Mundo, but Kron King does have maximum dosage, able to stay alive, but with Delight coming up to the top side, will have to back away. But that would have actually been a pretty positive trade for Kron King if he could have continued doing this. And getting this damage onto Delight is definitely going to hurt the Olaf, especially if he wants to look for anything more than just a Gromp in his next jump.
Interestingly enough, Lydia is being not too proactive right now. I mean, she has now even the level disadvantage since Olaf managed to pick up that Drake. But across the board, no kills coming through. And you can see the only gold that we have over on the other side is coming from this bot lane, basically. She has that 300 gold lead and every other lane is quite even. So, yeah, it's just that 300 gold lead in the bot lane that gives you this kind of edge in the total gold that we can see right now.
Yeah, and Gandhi there once again trading onto Kron, and it's a sense
look at Leona.
Oh, we are going to be looking for Leona, who has come up onto the side of the top, but so far not making the play. Lilia, though, going to be joining them, and this could be a big play onto Gandhi. Doesn't have the showstopper, so we'll find it difficult to get away, but will be able to flash out, and now putting them in. But they're going to go for the dive here. They are going to play for this one, but the Haymaker going to give him a lot of HP. The Ignite, though, going to tick down and does pick up the kill.
Yeah, really well played by Seta in the end. He did wait maximum amount of time with the flash, then kind of panic flashed onto the bowling ball. I wasn't sure if it was hitting since it has kind of a spread, so better safe than sorry. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, TP coming through from Monsi.
Monsi there is around, ambitious around, trying to get away. We do see the Dawning Shadows, and that's going to be enough shielding for Monsi, although no risk of dying as Rakori trying to get away. But a quick pick in the bot lane, 4 kills in quick succession over to the side of Ablaze.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 kills make sense. You roam with your support towards the top lane, Asko there just being aware as we find Monsi in a bit of a pickle here as in a 1v2 situation, but he's going to zone jungle, Ghost popped.
We do see the Ghost popped indeed. The good flash though from Monsi to get away as we do see Rakori trying to get a bit of poke, but it's not going to land. And I will say my client's a little bit bugged, so I may have to sort this out for a second. Take it over, J7.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, in the meantime, I'll give you the Discord stream just for the sake of it. But other than that, we can actually see that Olaf trading Flash for Ghost is definitely beneficial for him. Ghost has a lower cooldown. The Light is now looking to take out this... Oh, he's actually getting ulted, but he has no ulti for himself. Remember, he used it previously. Now he's getting in a 2v3 situation as we have Asho missing completely. Olaf is getting super low. The Light is being taken down already as Rikori is now running for his life. I sound Akali's... Oh my god, the flash forward from How Typo gets another one. 2 kills already. This is a 4-4-0. But there might be a comeback. Here's Ison getting the first. Is he looking for more? I'm not sure. Ults out just to stay alive, but he's very low on HP. 10% HP. Can he make it to the blast cone? Oh, he's getting slowed. No, he's ticking away. And he is going down in the top lane as well, fighting. Actually, Crying King with the Mundo HP coming back now from his ultimate is looking maybe for a dive. Does miss the cleaver very crucially and is super low right now. Oh! Set doesn't manage to pull him closer, and so that trade will go to an end. Overall, great team fights on both sides, but again, Ablaze coming out ahead.
Okay, and I'm back on schedule. My client was just booking out. It said that there was 4 kills when there were 2. Wasn't showing me the items, but we are all back now. We're ready in the game. I can see it all, and we're back in great PvP there from J7 stepping up and doing the work. But Typo coming through, clearing a little bit faster than Olaf as expected. Definitely putting in that work, and we see that Mundo damage almost picking up the Set. Obviously taking a little bit tower shot there, so almost taking it a little bit too close for comfort, but we'll be able to have some pretty good trades onto Set, and it's about long versus short trades. Set will always win the short trades, Mundo will always win the long trades.
What we have to look at right now is where does the gold go, where did those kills actually benefit, and it is the Lilia. 301 has 7 stacks on that very early part of the measures that she picked up the Dark Seal here, so already 7 stacks on that, so that's very beneficial for her. Her mid-game is gonna be amazing if she doesn't die and just keeps on going. Interesting, she went for Ludens though. Not quite sure what to think about that one, to be honest, since it's a nice burst damage and it spreads your damage, but it's yeah, I would have rather seen Leandris here, especially against this team where it's about the anti-healing and all that coming through in the end, so overtime damage is very beneficial. Yeah, Monsi just aggressive in the mid lane, but he keeps on losing those trades, and that is with corrupting pot. So yeah, he has to be careful, even though he has a kill, but so does the Akali. Second Drake, however, going over to Ablaze without any doubt. just getting that uncontestedly since the jungle advantage is this huge. And if we look into the bot lane, we have that stacked Cutlass, I think. No, what is it called again? Cull.
The Cull
is about to expire as well, so it's going to be really, really good for Senna. She's scaling nicely as well, and kind of the proactivity missing from the blue side here. I would have wished for a proactive bot lane together with the jungler.
Yeah, and I was a little bit surprised that Olaf decided to go for the Rift Herald instead of going for the Dragon. I know that Lily is a little bit ahead, but I think that with the bot lane and the mid lane having a little bit of pro, maybe they could have taken it, but now Delight in a lot of trouble, gets bonked by the Lilia and didn't manage to take the Herald, so it's not going to be a full disaster, but that was a little bit of an awkward one there, as Hound now in a bit of trouble. Monzi looking to go with the dive, as Azo there able to step forward, but it's not going to be just yet. Akali able to be just slippery enough to get away.
Yeah, I mean, we did get Ignite from Leona, we did get the ultimate from Leona, so it is kind of okay for Ison to use his ultimate as well. I have to give credit for Monzi, he hits those E's all the time. Really, really on point, as we have... Other than that, not really much going on into the mid lane. However, we have Lilia. Look at her. She's counter jungling right now. She's going to get spotted, though, by the light into this top side. I don't think they can do much about it since Mundo has reached this point where he is quite strong already. Like we said, early game is his time to shine. And Hounded...
Now going to be in a bit of a pickle, but here comes the light. Monzi able to duck away, though. Akali, obviously, with the shadow or the shroud. It's just a little bit too long a pause for Monzi to finish off that kill. Olaf there, good covering as well. Good recognition that the Akali was in a little bit of danger, as we do see the base is going to be stopped by Monzi, so trying to keep even more pressure in the lane. And to be honest, I won't lie to you, Aurelia, a little bit too strong right now. It does feel the second you get the Vampiric Scepter, you kind of start winning every lane.
Yeah, and surprisingly as well, the light was like, let's go back in. Like, even though Akali didn't have ultimates from the previous alternation with the Leona in the mid lane, so kind of questionable as well. So he forced his Ghost as well during that play, and now Ison forcing the TP, meaning that whatever next objective is coming up here in a few minutes, it's going to be the Wind Drake number 2 for both sides, is not going to get contested as hard from the blue side here as from Ablaze. On the other hand, we do have overall still this Lilia just pulling on ahead. You mentioned the kill she got earlier. She's now on 9 stacks as we have a fight on the top lane.
Yeah, sure. So they're going to be used early from set. It is going to lead to a positive trade for him, though. So all in all, pretty good. But Creon King able just to keep pushing this in and throwing those cleavers, keep getting that damage down. However, Gandhi has done a pretty good job of dodging those, as Creon there stepping a little bit too far forward. Going to have to use that maximum dosage to get himself away. A little bit questionable from him. I feel like at this sentiment, because you got the Sunfire, you just keep throwing the... Sorry, you got the Bambi Cinder. You just keep throwing the cleavers. You don't get too close to set under the tower, and you keep whittling that health down lower and lower and lower.
Again, winning condition for Ronin is still the same thing. They have to get this Ashe and this Akali going. If they do not do that, especially with the atomization of the Ashe, she went Kraken Slayer. So no Immortal Shield bow for her. She's not going to survive any full-on engage by Monsi for sure. And therefore we need to see proactivity onto this bot lane, but and helps with the jungler, because if we do it alone, this is what happens.
And Ram there, he's going to be able to use the Crystal Arrow to keep himself alive while they were put asleep, but a lot of damage coming through, and Kenny going to be able to pick that one up. Rory able to flush over the wall beautifully, and will be able to get out, as Monzi now in a bit of trouble with a flawless duet. Will stop them in their tracks, but it doesn't mean anything, as they're like going to find enough damage to pick up the kill on the top side. The whole teams have gone to war. Creon King now fighting off with Gandhi. We do see the Haymaker used early, and a few cleavers will just end that trade.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, this is the weakening from the light, which should technically not go into their favor. Ghost had been used, Akali's ultimate was back up, sure, but Monsi should have had a flash advantage, since there's no flash on either side from the Olaf nor the Akali. But interestingly enough, yeah, Monsi gets taken down, really good for the blue side, but once again, Olaf picking that one up, not quite beneficial. We want this Akali to get going, as he's gonna run maybe into some... Oh, he spots it.
Yeah, he does spot it, but this is a really risky moment there. The red buff will be taken away by Typo, and Delight couldn't step forward. He doesn't have Ragnarok. Leona can CC him up for ages, and the damage from Typo would just be a little bit too much for the Viking to handle.
Yeah, and once again, this just brings us to the point where we have both sides battling, but it's 2-7 in kills, a 4k gold lead at this point, which is solemn-handedly been gained by the Lilia, as well as the bot lane just scaling. Like, Senna hasn't done much. He doesn't play super aggressive or anything. Leonin also just looking to get other lanes ahead, but that one time was enough to get 2 lanes advantage and then 1 kill on top of that, as we have yet another TP play onto the bot lane.
TP into the bot lane. We do see Crayon King coming through. The TP is going to be answered though, so we will have to back away. Did land a few cleavers, but here comes Gandhi. Will he be able to turn this around? The center doing so much damage already. We do see Dawning Shadow is going to be utilized to give Crayon a little bit more health as Typo stepping forward. They slow down Delight. Here comes the Vanguard's Edge from Aurelia coming through, swooping up 2. Now we see 3, and it might be more as Handed joins the fight. But can he be able to turn this around? He picks up 1 for his trouble so far. The Shroud giving him a little bit of time as Kenny can be able to drop that damage. Picks up the kill, and Rikori, the last one alive, and it's going to be the ace over to the side of Ablaze. They just had the TP timings, they had the previous momentum, and then when it comes down to that 2 versus 5, it is so difficult to turn around, and Akali just isn't fed enough yet.
I mean, perfect gameplay here by Ablaze. They realize what they need to do. They totally have control of the team fight. They force 1 TP, then they answer with a second TP as well. Overall, Akali had to walk down, no TP available, like I mentioned. She did use that in the mid, and then this Drake came up. That's exactly when they chose to fight. We did call it out. It is when you can't fight. If you use your own abilities, your own... Akali's ultimate was back up, sure, but her TP was still down, so she had to walk all the way down there. By the time she made it, her team was already dead. Then she went in again for the redemption kill, which, sure, it's fine if you get out, but she didn't get out, also baited in Rikori, so in the end a full-on ace. And at this point, the game is pretty much doomed. The scaling composition is winning. Aurelia is 100% online. Senna has the double itemization. This is all she needs. She just needs this Kraken and Rageblade. And of course, the Lilia 5-0-5. You have to give credit to how Typo, because he's doing really well as in the top lane.
Yeah, Gandhi now not able to trade with Monty, just so powerful, and the Aurelia shredding through Set's health bar. Just the Borg giving so much power over to Aurelia these days, and it's just not contestable. And the Set not able to complete that Gore Drinker just yet as well, or potentially the Stride Breaker. Oh no, it is going to be the Gore Drinker, and just doesn't have the stats that he needs to take on Monty just yet. And it's kind of what you're talking about. The scaling is going their way. We will have to do a center check in a second to let you know how many souls have been gained so far, as they do look to take on this Rift Herald. And I would be surprised if Ronin decided to fight this.
Yeah, I mean, Herald number 2 here being picked up does not always result in something beneficial, but if you have the tempo on your side, you do want to use this to get ahead even more, break up the map even more. They did manage to pick up the first tower in the bot lane. We didn't talk about plating because there wasn't more than 1 plating picked up on either side, so it wasn't really worth it. But right now you have this mid lane tower that's so low. If the Herald gets dropped there, there's no way they can defend that, and the point of it being dropped should be to go for another objective somewhere else as well. Create pressure, divert, and then get something else in return. But right now, if they would drop it mid, it's only getting you a mid lane turret, which isn't too good gold-wise, but it does open up the jungle even more. We can already see warding-wise, we have great wards from Ablaze into the enemy jungle, giving you coverage and tracking Olaf at all times. So there's kind of no comeback other than Akali doing a supreme play of 900 IQ. Other than that, I don't see how Olaf and Set are going to deal with this Aurelia.
Yeah, and it's just a difficult situation. They've played the map really well from Ablaze. They've been able to really open up a lot of avenues for them to succeed. They've got Mundo strong, they've got the Lilia strong, the Aurelia and the Senna still stacking. Admittedly, Senna slowly getting those stacks. I think he was on 43 when I last checked about a minute ago. So not going to be the crazy Senna that we see with those 100 stacks in like 25 minutes, but it is still ticking over. They're starting to pick up kills. They're getting their items, and they're already 1 item ahead of the Ashe. So it's definitely... although maybe not going to be the best in souls, they've definitely got the golden experience that they need, as we do see Creon there in a little bit of a fight with Gandhi, and to be honest, this Mundo most likely wins these.
Yeah, and don't forget, I mean, sure, the Sender does get some attack damage, range, critical strike, lifesteal, all of that with her stacks and all that good stuff, but she is still a normal AD carry. She can still do damage, and she has 2 items over to the Ashe, who is only sitting on a Kraken Slayer and boots. So, yeah, if I were to pick one side, I would definitely say D. Kenny here is in an advantage, and he has the 20 CS lead, the double kill, as well as the 8 assists. He's doing great. He's always present with his ultimates as well. across the map as we have the light running into a dangerous situation, but the Asher is there.
Ooh, beautiful crystal arrow there from the Ash. They're going to pick up one. They will be able to pick up two as well, as Asco does flash away, but is going to be locked down. But in comes Typo, maybe trying to turn this around. Double kill over to the Olaf, and Monzi and Hounded now in the top side. It is going to go pretty close. Is Hounded almost finishing up with the perfect execution, not going to land, and Monzi able to turn it around. Beautiful Aurelia play. And it is a bit of a stepping stone there for the side of Ronin. They were able to pick up a few kills here, so slowly trying to shift the momentum, but unfortunately did come over to the Olaf once again. You would have loved it to be onto Ram.
Yeah, I mean, my Rakuri living on the edge there. Holy, also how to typo. Senna, okay. Whew. Sharp shooting today, boys. Sharp shooting. Duck in if you hear the shots coming. But yeah, other than that, I do think he's going to go for it.
They are going to drop the Herald. Now, 33 seconds before Drake, this will give them prior. Admittedly, Typo is quite low here, so...
Yeah, he has no mana, I mean, it wasn't running out. I'm quite confused to why what the...
Ooh, flash there from Ram was utilized. Asco almost landing the Zenith Blade. It's a good flash to burn, as Ash obviously not the most mobile in the world, and a lot of low mana bars here before this Drake. It does feel pretty uncontestable from both sides, but definitely much more from the side of Ronin, as...
And Delight's even using the smite there. I mean, at this point... Oh no.
Oh, the Zenith Blade does catch out Ram, now pretty low. There's the Solar Flare, and they have enough damage with the Dawning. With the last embrace there from the center, they pick up the kill onto the Ash, and now going to be turning for this Drake. This will be their third of the game, and there's no chance for a steal.
So not only does Leona get the red buff with that 58 damage spell, the Zenith Blade here, but also does she get to kill single-handedly against the Ashe. I don't understand people who just were forced to flash in the mid lane, have negative mana and definitely like only half HP, see that there's an objective coming up. Sure, it's Drake number 3, it's not that important to contest, like it's not like the soul is going to give you anything, but it's definitely very beneficial to have a reduced cooldown on the ultimate if you're on Akali and an Ashe, and not to mention the Olaf here. But yeah, just not going base, just greeting for that red buff, greeting for Drake priority, greeting for vision in your own jungle when you definitely do not have... okay, Aurelia?
Now, there was a bit of a close fight earlier with Hounded and Monzi, and it was a beautiful flawless duet to really turn the tables. Akali, no ultimate right now, so no perfect execution, and the blue buff obviously was a little bit of a weird play. I think if the Vanguard's Edge had hit, Monzi probably would have been able to clean up either Rakori or Delight, but it did miss, so they backed away. Smart play, didn't breed for that one. As Kenny, they're going to be able to lock down the red buff. We do see the Hawk shot. He's going to check the tops of the jungle, and it makes me think that they're maybe either searching for Aurelia or potentially looking to see if the Baron was being started, which is definitely something you're going to have to watch out for if you are the side of Ronin.
Yeah, definitely. Interestingly enough, we do have now both these teams kind of stalling out, as we have Asher just going white there. Yeah, this is going to wait for their next engage, which will happen in the top lane, Monsi vs Iceland.
Yeah, Monzi there hasn't fully started the passive yet, so this could be a good trade for Hounded, as he is going to go pretty close. Wish is going to be used, giving them a big heal. Monzi went pretty low with the Ignite there. Is going to be picked up by the 5-point strike.
TP.
We do see the TP in the top side. It is going to be Cryon King coming through. Will he be able to lock down the Akali? They're trying to run away, but Typho sweeping that damage up will lead to Mundo picking up the kill, as now Delight trying to go aggressive here, does have the Ragnarok, will be able to pick up the kill onto Leona, but double sleep now from the side of Typho, who is in a bit of a sticky situation here, loses their life, 1,000 gold shutdown, but set on the side will be picked up by Creon and D. Kenny, as they are going to maybe look for more, as Delight getting locked down. It is a lot of damage instead of they're going to pick up another kill, and a little bit of a weird skirmish here. Ooh, Dawning Shadows there almost connecting, but the recall is going to keep them safe. A weird skirmish there. Very messy, but even across the board.
Yeah, in the end we had a 2-for-3, which is very beneficial for the team that's always behind. So you do not need to forget that, especially if the Ashe would have gotten some kills, but she did not. So yeah, Ashe still not on the board, kind of still behind, even forced to buy Quicksilver, which will delay her itemization even more. At this point, I really doubt her itemization choice here. Would have gone for the Immortal Shiva, would have been way better. And yeah, right now Kraken Slayer, even if she hits somebody, it's not going to deal any damage. And yeah, the only reason that when it came out here. Kind of equal in this team fight was because Asko and this Leona was kind of trapped into 3 members, and then they decided, hey bro, I'm gonna help you out. Gets caught as well. Did some great damage though to Soraka, but didn't pursue the right target, and in the end, yeah, those 2 get taken down as well. Kind of redemption kill for the other team here, as we have now Baron onto the map, 25 minutes into the game, and yeah, Ablaze is kind of starting to look towards this. You can see the wards already being placed into the enemy jungle. Make sure that the wards are all in their favor so that they see anybody moving towards the Baron if they were to attempt it. And they have tier 1s all cleared of the map, so they have total control over the enemy jungle right now.
And it was a really, really good play from the side of Hounded there. He was able to pick up the kill onto Monzi, and that definitely will turn the tides of these battles, as Typo was a little bit deep in that last fight, I will say. Did kind of greed for the Ashe kill, didn't manage to get it. And giving over that 1,000 gold shutdown was pretty big, but again, going on to Delight, not the carry of the team, but still having a strong Olaf isn't, well, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, better than nothing indeed, as we have right now, once again, a bit of a pickle team fight in the top lane.
Here, TP, they're going to be coming through, and now in between the members of the side of Ablaze, they pick up the Akali immediately, and now the Dawning Shadow is going to lead to a bit more of a fight as Gandhi pulled in, gets absolutely assassinated. Now Monzi joining the fight, going to be able to rip through Ram, and that is a 3 kill for 0. Monzi now stepping forward onto the light, going to be looking for that extra bit of damage with the team. The flash over the wall from Tyber was clutch, as Rikori, the last one alive, going to be chased down by the Mundo. He goes where he pleases, and it feels like Ablaze looking for the Baron is their easy option, as they've aced the team of Ronin.
Have a wave. I do not quite agree with the Baron. The HP bar is obviously a bit low, but there's no contest, so they don't need to worry about any TP plays come in, especially since the TPs are all on cooldown. However, getting the inhib here would have been priority, then reset, force another fight, and then potentially end. You don't even need the Baron at this point. I mean, you are 8 to 23 kills, you have a 15k gold lead at 26 minutes into the game, and you're looking at soul point right now when it comes to the Drake. So yeah, a bit questionable choice in the end, but the team was definitely very clean by them. Obviously the HP bars are just humongous right now for Blaze, so when Myra does not have any engage whatsoever, that could be beneficial. And we saw the Ashe, see, got exactly 3 autos out, didn't get blown up by Monsi, who had a beautiful backline access there over the wall, even tanked the tower for Mundo in the end to get the last kill. So yeah, real great coordination by Ablaze, definitely outplaying them on multiple points and using their strengths to an ultimate. And you can see right now 16 stacks on this Lilia. She has been giving and giving and giving. She's doing so great, got her lanes ahead, helped everywhere she was needed, and during this team fight she stays very light on her feet, as the champion should be, and does a huge ton of damage with that Ludens.
Yeah, and it feels like a very, very steep hill to climb if you are on the side of Ronin to get back into this game. And it's because of the scaling comp, as well as the way that the game has fallen. Obviously, if Ashe had picked up a few of these kills they were in, maybe Ram becomes a lot more dangerous, and maybe they're able to hold back the floodgates of people like Monzi. But also, they don't really have too much in the way of actual peel for the Ashe. Obviously, Soraka can silence, and Gandhi can do some with the showstopper, obviously throwing someone away or potentially using the face breaker to slow them down. But all in all, they wanted to go forward, but they haven't been able to get their team online so that they can just use that win condition. And they are going to have to start paying for that one, as we do see the tier 2 being broken.
Oh, Akuri on the wrong side of that wall.
The bot side, and that is going to be the Vanguard's Edge looking to go forward. But good showstopper there does stop the engage for Monzi, but it does mean that Gandhi going to be in a lot of trouble here. The Blade Surge just too much damage, as the light does make it out, but Rikori now in a lot of trouble. Flash forward with the cleaver. Mondo going to be able to get that one, as now Asko locking down Ram, trying to kite this one away. The tower isn't even doing enough damage to kill off this Leona, as in goes Typo. She finds the kill, and that could be the rest of the game done. Delight trying to hold the base, but with the Baron up minions, 2 inhibs down, and 5 members bearing on this game. This could be game 1 all but done, as Monzi there finding a bit of a trade with Hounded. Is going to go pretty low himself with the sleep. Coming through now on to the side of Delight. Gets bumped on the head and will not be coming back for the rest of this game. Creon going to be able to force away Hounded, who is pretty low. Sweep from Typo ends the fight, ends the game, as the Nexus fall game 1 over to Ablaze.
Yeah, and Ablaze looking so strong there in that end phase. I mean, sure, they did have the lead, and they did have the HP advantage coming from this level advantage and items, but overall, that was just such a strong performance there towards this half end of the team fights. Every time we saw a team fight happening, we did see them just stomp and roll over the enemy team right now. I mean, definitely we have to look towards different compositions, because even though they picked the scaling composition, they did have an advantage since the early game, Crying King being the only early game champion who was not really involved in the early game. It was all about Monsi going to the bot lane, helping out Kenny and Asko on this Leona and Senna. So definitely interesting team fights and prioritizations of the early game, which led to How to Typo pretty much just getting this game into his favor, into his team's victory, and the Blaze come out ahead for this first game of tonight.
Yeah, and it is a best of 3, so obviously there are ways to get back. Ronin could regroup, they could set themselves up, and they could come back and win and take the series, 2-1. We'll see what they do come up with over the break, as we are going to have a short pause now, so make sure you get your snacks, get your drinks, come right back and be ready for all the action, because it is going to get spicy.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see you guys in a bit.
comprehend. We cannot break, we cannot bend. We must find and strike their hearts, must stop its relentless beating pulse. For these tyrants covered our world. Gather our people, bring them to the ruins. You shall wait at the city gates. You shall guide their way. You shall hear their coming steps. Feel our malice. Fire every soul they took away. Rearm and take our aim. Rain down the fire like rain. You will stay in 45.
Okay, we are back once again. I hope you guys had a good break. Hope you guys did what you needed to do. Maybe send an hour to Hogwarts, get your snacks, get your food, get your drink, all of the above. But we're coming back for game 2. Ablaze going to be on the blue side this time, and Ronin going to be looking to secure their first win of the series. And it was a pretty good first game, especially for Ablaze and J7. What do you make? What should they change in the pick and bans?
Well, pick and ban, like I said, I think we talked about it in the break, you and me, but I do think that jungler needs to be more on a proactive champion that gives you also an easier time in the early game, because we had now an Olaf versus a Lilia. The matchup kind of was sucky for the Olaf, because sure, he wins the 1v1, but Lilia can just decide to farm it up, and that's what she did. She was so far ahead. We mentioned it on the first clear. She had this one camp advantage already, and then she got a base off before Olaf even finished his clear. So yeah, he lost out on the tempo pretty hard. And then if you pick something like a Jarvan, I think Jay, you mentioned the Ramos, for example, and other champions in Nocturne would have been more beneficial. I would have loved to see a Jarvan, for example. It's very active right now. If you get the Jarvan together with any of those big AoE ultimates, you're going to have a great time, because your Cataclysm is going to become so much more valuable. And also Jarvan level 2 ganks are notorious for that. And also he has this early game advantage where even if he falls behind, he just itemizes into tank, and he's still going to be the most useful thing ever, because he has always that engage that you can call upon onto the trigger, just like trigger disengage. He goes on flag and drag into Cataclysm, locks somebody in place, and the Senna would have been caught extremely badly by this. And also gives you a little bit of help against an Irelia, for example. Irelia goes into your backline, make sure he doesn't go any further. Cataclysm, that guy, he's not going to go anywhere. But yeah, definitely a lot in the jungle that has to change, my opinion, to give them some more early prior, because they had the early prioritization with the Ashe Soraka range advantage, didn't utilize that whatsoever. And then Monsi had a great game on the Irelia. So I think when it comes to Ablaze, stick to what you just did. You can even pick again a scaling comp with kind of a mid-game focused team fighting mid laner and top laner, like the Mundo and the Irelia, and you're going to be great. Just get your solo lanes into that, because I think your solo lanes is where it's at. We have a huge skill discrepancy in that mid lane, as you saw, and in the top lane. But maybe it was the champions, maybe they weren't too comfortable on it, because Irelia did try her hardest, I sound here, to get their team back. Let's have a look at what they have in mind for the second game, JWL. I think you are more than happy to see another Mundo, but
Yeah, of course. Always Mundo. Every time Mundo. It's always good for me. I think I do agree with you. I think there would have been a few better jungle picks that they could have locked in. I think Nocturne does really well right now in the meta. I think Vi is very strong if you want to keep the early game AD threat. I think also Rammus would have been perfect into things like the Aurelia because it immediately stops them jumping about and it would have been able to set up the Ashe pretty nicely. But we'll have to see what Delight has on the champion pool as we do go into pick and ban phase 2. Kaisar going to be banned out by Ablaze once again, so really not wanting to give that one over as Misfortune going to be returned by Ronin.
yeah, and we have the Kaiser MF bans. I personally don't agree with this. I mean, sure, if it is a target ban and you're really scared and you don't have an answer to it, you can go with it. But I feel like the Sen and the Ashe, even though they're not the highest pick ratio right now, I mean, the Ashe is kind of up there. But yeah, it didn't really matter too much. It was all about this mid lane, about the TPs that were utilized from Monsi, and surprisingly about Delight's presence on the map with not Delight's, how to type was a presence on the map with this Lilia. So I would target this jungle a bit more, make sure that your own jungle has a favorable matchup.
Yeah, and I think I personally would really like to see maybe something like the Vayne, maybe something like the Sivir come out from the side of Ram, because they're on his top lists of champions that he plays, and they give him a bit more mobility. He's able to then duck and dive in these fights and not just get absolutely just jumped on as an Ashe. So we do see a little bit of a change there in the ban phase. The Soraka and the Lily are going to be banned away from by Ronin, and Jinx taken away by Ablaze, and that is going to be an Ezreal first pick.
I mean, I'm surprised if Rakuri wouldn't be very open to play the Rakan here. He could, I mean, he can't pick it early on, but if we get a Xayah Rakan, I think that gives them a stronger botlane synergy that even though they don't get that much of a jungle presence like we saw last game, but however, the Zac look in that might change right now. But yeah, even though you don't get that much of a jungle presence in the early game, you still will do well because Xayah Rakan is notorious for having a great lane. And right now we have the Zac who is being locked in. I think this is a setup for greatness. This is maybe the key that we were looking for, this turnaround, and hopefully we will see some... Ooh, this Vayne this early on is tricky, but it could be flexed.
Yeah, and the Vayne, I talked about it. I wanted to see it. I really like this pickup. The fact that he plays it a lot as well is really positive. Vayne is super scary, and it's actually really strong if played well, and it's quite good into Ezreal as well. You can close him down, but you do have to be careful about that poke. That poke will definitely hurt you, but it also stops him locking in too many tanks, because obviously Vayne, a bit of a tank shredder, and we do get to see Typo's Kindred, which is one of my favorite champs in the game. Yep. I'm super excited to talk about this one as Monzi there. Going to be hovering that Nautilus for their support, and I do like Nautilus. I just don't love it necessarily with Ezreal. I think there are other picks that are maybe a little bit more beneficial.
I mean, especially into a Vayne, I do think you want to go for this Enchanter style bot lane, especially if you have the Ezreal to back that up. It's going to be poke heaven. Vayne's not going to get even into the range. She has such a short range already. She's not getting into the range of the Wraith. So yeah, Ezreal, Nautilus, A-okay. I mean, the Nautilus does make sense if you have a bit of setup potential for the Kindred, but I would have loved to see any kind of Enchanter here. It would have gone well with Kindred, would have gone even better with Ezreal laning phase. And right now we see the set once again here. Gandhi just defaulting back to the set, and he didn't have the worst laning phase, but he also wasn't so present on the map. And with Mundo not being banned, I just see the return of the Mundo.
Yeah, and I do think that Nautilus is good for the depth charge onto the Vayne. She can't dodge it. It is going to be a perma lockdown, and it does set you up for a nice position on killing off the ADC. As we do see the Aurelia and the Yasuo banned away from the two sides. It does look like they're going to be targeting the mid lane mainly, but with that being said, Ornn going to be banned away from the side of Ronin. So even though they do have the Vayne, they don't want to see the Ornn once again. And Leona taken away from Ablaze, which I am a little bit surprised about. I feel like it's not necessarily the scariest matchup, but if they don't want to play against that hard engage, then it's completely fair. Obviously, right now they do have the set and the Zac, so they're already setting up to have a pretty big front line for this phase.
See, this hover right now makes not a lot of sense to me, especially into Nautilus. Like, sure, you're going to be able to block that, but she's still only going to be able to block the Ezreal damage onto you. You're not going to be having a lot of help towards your Vayne if she does get knocked up. But in the meantime, I do like that they banned out Leona, because Vayne Leona is kind of an aggressive style Vayne, which is something the Vayne is lacking in the early game. And now with the Gwen locked in. Oh my god. I'm gonna be looking at Quine here, and I'm gonna not let my eyes off that lane. I think this is a great setup for him to shine. He seemed really comfortable on the Mundo, but it was a bit of damage lacking. And Asco, my dude, don't play with our hearts like this. If you're gonna go ahead and pick that Z for Monty here, I'm really gonna be excited for this game. Okay, go for Twisted Fate, cross map play. Really makes sense as well. They needed some sort of lockdown other than the Nautilus, and yeah, TF does the job beautifully. He has a great potential to set it up, and we saw how active Monty was with a teleport on the Aurelia. I can only imagine he does the same on Twisted Fate Ultimate. But however, this will lead into a potential counter pick, which right now will be the Rise. Yeah, I have to see if that is... Okay, this is a better one. I do like this way more. It gives you way more teamfighting capabilities. Also, the scaling is infinite. And obviously, sure, Rise does well, scaling-wise as well, but his clear earlier on is not that good. And the only thing he does have is catch-up potential, which you don't need already since you have a Zac from Fog of War. So yeah, the Cassiopeia, way more constant damage if you Vayne were to forward behind, way better than the Rise. And right now we have a great setup on both sides. And the only thing I'm kind of missing on Ablaze's side is this tanky front line. If Nautilus goes full support, I don't think we have any kind of front line, which will then benefit Ronin here for their kind of playstyle.
Yeah, and it's going to be about whether or not Ablaze can kind of cut through the front line. Obviously, Kindred can become super dangerous in the late game if they do get ahead. And the same is said about Gwen. Twisted Fate, obviously, with a lot of lockdown. The same for the Nautilus. And Kenny going to be able to fire off a lot of shots, and building that tankier build from the Ezreal does mean that he won't be at the same risk of being absolutely blown up. But, with that being said, I really like Ronin Myra's comp. I think that they've got a lot of setup for their 2-carry style. They've got the Vayne and the Cass in the back, ready to go, ready to fire, and they are pretty much unstoppable when it comes to killing tanks. They're going to be able to jump so much damage off in this game, and they just have a great front line. They have Delight, they have Gandhi to be able to set up these fights and sort it out, make sure that their carries are not getting dove on, and they also then have the Brom, who will stop a lot of the damage. And I know you didn't love it in the lane, and I do agree, in the laning phase, Brom not going to really be the best option here, but come those late game stages, blocking the damage from Kenny, blocking the damage from Monty, blocking the damage from Typo, it is going to make it very difficult for Ablaze to really get onto that backline, and it's going to force him into a front-to-back fight, which Ronin's team is a little bit better set up for than the side of Ablaze. So I do like this comp from Ronin a lot, and it, to me, gives him a bit of an advantage over Ablaze come this second game. However, scaling is important. If Ablaze get ahead, Ronin could be at risk.
Definitely. I do give you like a bomb in the lane phase. Obviously not that present, especially with a Vayne paired up. But I do like their teamfight style here that they pick. They have a great composition to skirmish into this mid game, but kind of was the last time around the same thing, but they have way more tools in their hands now to make it possible. Again, Gandhi is the only lack here. I would have said I would have loved something else to be blind picked, like something more secure, like the on that they banned them out themselves would have been way more beneficial. Also set up potential here for them. But yeah, Cassiopeia, really high hopes for Icehound. He did look kind of solid on the Akali, but he was the only one that did have a great performance in the last game. Everybody else just fell off slowly. And we are now looking forward to maybe Ambitious Ram. Is he going to be the Prodigy Vayne? You did mention he has a lot of games on it. It is maybe the champion we needed for him. Ashe was sure great if she doesn't fall too far behind, but maybe Prodigy Vayne here will give us all that we need. With 50 seconds remaining before we get into the game and get this confirmation about the laning phase, like what will they pick for runes, what will they pick for summoner spells, we can already give you this much information. Kindred early on is going to look to get their stacks whenever there's a stack available. Ablaze is going to try their hardest to get it, and Ronin's going to go hopefully against that, set up a little bit of a trap and put this Kindred behind, because with Zac that is so possible. And don't forget Cassiopeia's grounded ability, where Kindred is not going to be hopping around anywhere, neither the Ezreal and neither the Gwen. So I really think Cassiopeia's grounded ability here is a game-changing ability that, if used correctly, can change the outcome of the team fight.
Yeah, Miasma definitely a huge way to lock people down. We're doing the prediction there coming through for game 2. Let us know who you think is going to win this game. Put your money where your mouth is. Drop your points into chat and see if you win. It is going to be up for about another 2 minutes, I believe. So make sure that you don't miss out on the potential to get some points from some other players in the chat. Now, as we do load into the game, we get to see the runes of choice, which as you said, can really change the game.
Yeah, looking at it right now, we have nothing out of the ordinary, at least on the top lane here. We have standard flash, teleport, a good conqueror to back that one up with a dissolve secondary. In the mid lane, we have, however, unsealed spellbook. That is interesting to me. Gives you a little bit of edge onto the mid lane here. And now, on the other hand, we also have the conqueror onto the Ezreal with heal flash and ignite flash on the Nautilus as well. So honestly, this gives you a great mid game. Hopefully they can utilize all of this, and I'm just looking forward to my host here if he gives us the go for the game, because the champions have been loaded in, which is waiting for you, Mr. British Blaze.
We are at 10.
There we go. We shall be getting into the game. Let's go, JBL. I'm hyped for this one. I really have a lot of hope here for the second game, that they do bring it back into the series, into this best of 3. And yeah, it looks like 5-manning. Oh, is Ablaze going for something cheeky with the Nautilus? Look at this. They might get spotted in a second, though.
Yeah, and Asgo looking for the grab, but it's not going to be enough to light just a hair away from that hook, and that could have been a really big grab early on. I am a little bit surprised Gwen decided to go for the flash. Obviously, Ignite TP, a very popular summoner choice on the Gwen. So maybe not feeling the Ignite, maybe not feeling like they could really get enough worth out of it, and flash will come in a little bit more clutch.
Yeah, I mean, right now, once he's looking for an early ward, and that's really... Okay, Cassiopeia, Iceland, he's just like, sure, buddy, come on in. This is your territory. No reaction whatsoever. Maybe he was in the shop already thinking about the boots that he can't buy. Other than that, tier start from Cassiopeia. It isn't surprising because she needs the mana, she needs all of that, so it's very much reasonable. On the other hand, we have the set in the top lane going a bit defensive. Gwen actually going for the Doran's Blade, so she's looking to go aggressive early on. And Ambitious Ram spots the blue ward here, so we have great warding. Both the buffs are warded right now, so they do know exactly where Ronin's Delight jungler here is starting. And the Guardian procced early on means the first trade could go potentially into favor of Ablaze onto the spot side. Speaking about the clearing pace here of Delight and Typo, I would say that Typo, if he chooses to do it correctly, has definitely an earlier access to and Scuttle Crab. On the other hand, the light can just go full clear and be happy with it and appear out of nowhere into any lane. So that is kind of the danger that he brings within this Zac pickup.
Yeah, and Kindred, you can go for 5 camps and then get to Skull at 315. It is pretty standard clear. You can also go for a sure one to go for maybe 3 or 4 and then just look for the early gank. Because we do see the set is pushing in. We do maybe see the 4 camp from the Kindred, as they are going to be going onto the Gromp. A little bit surprised they go straight onto the Gromp. I would have thought you maybe just go through to Wolves, then Blue, then Gromp. But each to their own.
You always pick up the Wolves here on Kindred, especially since the Q is so beneficial. But look at this, it's an early gank coming in, maybe releasing some pressure from the set prior here. This is dangerous, there's no one to help you. Gandhi under pressure,
Gandhi
will he
now
survive?
a lot of trouble here, only level 2 as well, trying to flash away, but we'll get slowed down. And Typo able to pick this kill up pretty easily if they just get one more auto, and that is going to be the first blood over to the Gwen. Really good early pressure from the Kindred, and now they can come back, pick up their blue, pick up the Skull Crab, and Zac cannot contest Kindred in the early.
Yeah, when in doubt, just always prove the caster wrong. He did perfect by skipping the walls, was in a beautiful position to punish the Z here. The other thing that we do have to mention now, he's going for an immediate gank onto the mid lane. Look at how far Icehound is up, as we have a Kenny and the pressure on the bot lane.
Yeah, and I really like this second gank as well. They're going for all of that pressure, and it does look like the bot lane is going to be the focus first. There was Asco going really low here. Will be picked up by Ram, but Isound now on the run is going to be taken down by Typo. That is a mark as well. And now Typo most likely going to be pushing up to the top side to claim their mark on the Crab. And that forces Zac down to the bot side. So Delight not having the early game that they would maybe like, as Typo setting tempo in this game.
Yeah, once again, it's Typo, man. I did point it out on this Lilia last time around. He had the perfect clear, which gave him the edge, and then the beautiful gank. This time around, he goes for the early gank. He's even that confident that he doesn't need to go for the Scuttle Crab right now. Look at him. He's just going for the blue buff, and then he will pick up the Scuttle Crab afterwards. That's how confident this guy is right now, that he has won this matchup already. And he did indeed. Like, sure, he's behind 10 CS, but that doesn't really matter. He got 2 kills. For his team, 1 for himself, 1 for the top lane, as we have Delight now finding Asco in a very weird position.
Yeah, and Asco is going to be locked down here, and it's given over to Icehound, so giving these kills to the carry so far. 2 kills on both, 1 for the Vayne, 1 for the Cass, and that is exactly what you want to see if you are a Ronin fan.
Interestingly enough, I don't know why Asco went for this. I mean, his flash was down from before, this little bit of a misstep. And once again, we did point out how Braum and Vayne don't really have prior on the lane against an Ezreal Nautilus. But yeah, seems like Asco didn't respect that. The slow and the passive from Braum can definitely bring you into bad position, as now D. Kenny has totally given up and says, I'm going to go aggressive, is forced to use both summoners already.
Yeah, and that is a really risky position for him. However, the stretching strike's not going to catch him out, but Ablaze Ram on the run will get him. But now could be in a little bit of trouble here, as Kaipo is coming through. The TP was cancelled, but Typo is going to be taking down the Vayne, who got the double kill, and looking for a Corey now. Is strong enough to take on both of these 2 members, but not going to be able to get enough damage before they get to the tower. So almost being able to pick that up, and we do see Hounded there was able to cancel TF's TP.
Yeah. Luckily, that was cancelled because I could have turned around the swing of this. I mean, sure, Typo was there for picking up that bit of a redemption kill, but yeah, once again, I'm actually happy to see Ambitions Ram being a bit more ambitious, like his name suggests, and therefore having a bit of an earlier laning phase. And now we have Icehound under pressure.
He is in a lot of trouble here. Kindred grounded, but it won't mean too much. Typo picking up another kill, getting the pace of this game going, and looking really strong.
Yeah, Ablaze, I mean, they are playing to their strengths totally. Again, Asco should have just sit back, protect the Ezreal. Other than that, they're doing great. Bot lane, however, for Ronin is their sole hope right now. In the mid lane, they did get only 1 redemption kill over. The tier stacking is also going a bit slow for 6 minutes in. And yeah, the Vayne is really what we have hoped for. This Prodigy that we talked about in champion selection is what we need, as the Drake's getting picked up uncontestedly for Ablaze as well. So everything, once again, going to their favor. But Vayne is in this game, so the gold is evened out. It's only 100 gold difference at best, and that is really, really good, because Typo might be looking for once again a gank, and if he shuts down the Vayne, this will swing the tide once again.
Yeah, and Typo definitely has the damage. Kindred, crazy strong if gets ahead, and already going to be looking for what seems to be their 3rd mark. We can just clarify that one up, as it is 2 already for Typo, so if they do pick up the Scuttle Crab, it will be their 3rd, and that's 1 away from the 4th, which is the important mark for Kindred in the early game. Once you get to 4 marks, you get that extended range, and it really does change the game for you, as Delight doing a bit of counter jungling here, and Creon not going to go aggressive for it, although could have maybe just jumped over that wall and contested the Zac.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, Kindred getting this early on mark is really crucial. 7 minutes into the game, she has 3 marks. It is really beneficial for her. If she gets even more out of this next clear, if she gets the blue buff here like she's doing right now, and another kill, because in the bot lane there might be a fight, but in the meantime, Monsi
there, able to walk away. We do see the gate is going to be used, but it's not going to be able to catch out the Twisted Fate, who does stun up the Zac, and Ice Hounded now still able to keep on the chase, and Monzi far enough away that Kindred's not going to be able to get anywhere near, but Asco is up onto the side of the mid lane, but they're not going to look for this fight, although I do think the Typo probably could have won that one, but Ricaldi needs to be careful here. He's going to be hooked in, but Typo jumping over the wall.
Okay, Typo's like, yeah, I see juicy chickens. Asco's like, let's go in, buddy. bit of miscommunication there. But other than that, that was a great play here by Ronin, actually showing that what they have into their kit as well. I'm really pleased to see that they are being a bit more proactive in their plays. And once again, they gained a small lead, nowhere close to being able to win the game just yet, but this is a good prediction of how the game could be potentially going. Gwen so far a bit underwhelming. She had her one fight that she won. Other than that, we don't see Quine doing too much. I mean, Seth is pretty much able to do whatever he pleases right now.
They're saying that he's going to be ganked by the Twisted Fate. In comes Zach, though. They need to be careful. King looking for the final bit of damage. We're going to be slammed down to the ground. Gets picked up. And now Monty in a bad situation. Gets taken apart. And Delight and Gandhi turning around the top side play.
Yeah.
And they have to be upset with that one.
That was so close. Really well played by Gandhi. I don't know if his Haymaker wasn't ready on thing, but yeah, he did wait until the very last second, baited in Quine, and beautiful. Just flame the players and they shall do what you need, you know, like amazing play there. Quine actually a bit greedy, but in the end, great turnaround. Zach, that's what I meant. I'm from out of Fog of War. He is just pleasingly appearing in your lane, but it's going to be to your misfortune because you're going to be dying to it. And now again, Monty has everything on cooldown, so no proactive plays to be had from Ablaze during the next 2-3 minutes. However, Ezreal and Asco, they're gonna get a nice reset in, and as soon as Ezreal has this tier and the Sheen in his inventory, he is kind of online already for this early game, so that is what we need. He's gonna work towards his first item, and I want to see him being proactive together with Asco. Just get to the mid lane, shut down Icehound, and get those plays in your favor.
Yeah, and Tybo's kind of slowed down their tempo a little bit. They haven't been as proactive in the last few minutes, but that being said, still farming ahead, still getting quite strong, but I would like to see maybe the Kindred starting to put a bit of pressure onto the actual Zac, or maybe looking for some of those objectives they do start the Herald.
Yeah, and Icehound, he's trying to freeze this lane, but at what cost? He's losing so much HP right now. He's already down to half. And if Icehound isn't careful, he's still that flash down. Sure, he has his ultimate, but it's not going to save you from damage. It's going to stun somebody for a few seconds. We can always see rotations. Asko still lingering here. He's looking to get aggressive into this mid lane. But the same idea is on the other side from Ronin. We have Zac and Bo moving up onto this Twisted Fate in the mid lane as well. Looking for a nice rotation. Not be happening right now. And Typo, potential tower gank with the Herald.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that they dropped the Herald so early on. We do see Gandhi trying to run away. Gonna slam down Typo, who does have the ultimate, so will not go down to the tower. Monty TPing onto the top side as well. A little bit of a random positioning from him, and they ultimately have to take a lot of the plates off of this tower. Lambs despite they're coming in absolutely clutch for Typo this time around and picking up another kill. But here comes Rakori. Icehound as well, going to be making their way in. Delight looking for the jump, but I'm going to find it straight onto the Gwen. But Icehound now with a big petrifying gaze. It's going to be able to lock down Typo, but will go down themselves. 1-for-1 so far, but they lock down the second. Gwen does fall. Does Monty have enough damage? That is the question. Picks up Rakori, but not going to be enough for Delight, who does take all 3 kills.
Yeah, Delight getting all the kills there as the only sad part about that play, but Ronin actually being super proactive there. Great rotations into the top side, all the way from the bot lane. They came on in. Rakori together with Delight. He has walked from the Drake towards the top tower, and I was a bit surprised that Ablaze put in this many resources and didn't even end up getting the tower. You mentioned it, the drop of the Herald a bit early. If they waited a bit longer, they would have gotten the last damage onto that tower, and getting a tower before the plating is down is really beneficial in gold. However, it is now once again really close. Only 700 gold difference between those two teams. Sure, there's a 3 kill difference, but it is onto a Zac, which will make him a bit more tanky, will not actually benefit your team. Ambitious Ram, however, he has the Noon Quiver, so that means he is now as confident as the Ezreal with his early items. Meanwhile, the Drake is being soloed by Typo. No contest there whatsoever, not even a vision in that area, since the whole place had been happening in the top side. And I really think with the Mountain, so being now on the Rift, that is giving you a great advantage for Ablaze, who were lacking previously a front line, but now will be getting a nice shield to everyone.
Yeah, and I'm really interested by the build from Kindred. Gone for the Triforce. The standard is normally Kraken Slayer, and you did have a bit of a moment where Divine Sunderer was very popular, but Triforce not one I've seen recently, but definitely doing a lot of damage, so we'll see how this one works out.
I mean, since the Ezreal is most likely going for like Divine Thunder, I would have thought that maybe they could have gone for Kraken Slayer instead, especially since there's some HP targets on the enemy side. Like Cass is gonna stack passive HP, like with the Leandris and such, and Zac definitely already itemization towards HP, and then in the top lane the set as well. So yeah, Kraken Slayer would have been beneficial for her, especially since it helps with her passive with the E, where she gets the triple stack and all that stuff. But right now, D Kenny once again uses the Arcane Shift to get away.
Good flash away from the Winter's Bite. Rokori flashing forward there, almost finding the mark, but again, D Kenny definitely playing a little bit aggressive in this game. He's level 9 though, something we haven't really talked about. D Kenny has been alone a lot in the bot lane. Azco has been kind of roaming the whole game, still only level 5, so hasn't got their ultimate yet. So 2 levels down on Rokori, but this has meant that D Kenny has basically been a solo laner and is actually 1 level up on Ram.
And look at this, I like this. Vayne is knowing that she has the damage in her kit no matter what, as we have Monsi now under pressure. There's so much fighting, we don't get to analyze anything, but there's a redemption kill.
Stun catches out the Cat, and that's going to be an immediate kill over to them. Typing out, looking for more. Rokori going to be knocked up by the Nautilus, and that is going to be another kill. Delight trying to get away, will be stunned up, and that's a lot of damage coming out from the side of the Ablaze team. They're looking for the final bits of damage. Oh, the auto onto the minion doesn't finish it off, but it will be Monzi that picks up the kill onto Zac. They're trying to finish off the blobs, but Azco is going to fall down here, and now Zac looking for his revenge. Will not jump in. Delight decides, you know what? Probably not worth it to kill off Monzi, and it could have maybe gone pretty south for them. As Trusha Barrage over the top almost finds enough damage.
Honestly, that was just really bad coordination here by Ablaze. They had the right mindset, like, sure, we need to go in, we need to kill him. He's alone in the turret, there's no reinforcements. We see everybody else on the map. But Monzi...
Yeah, Monzi now in a little bit of trouble here. Didn't manage to get the stun call. Great ultimate there from Kindred. Keeps them alive. Icehound, however, going to be able to chase them down. Does flash forward. Will be picked up by the Kindred themselves. And this should be a double over to Typo. Was chasing down Rokori. But going to back away as Zac is in range. Beautiful Lamb's Respite. Did force out the flash from Icehound, being picked up the kill as well. But yeah, a little bit of a questionable start play there from Monty.
Yeah, once again, undecisive gameplay coming in from Ablaze. They have the right mindset, they know exactly what they need to do, but they take a few seconds to decide if they actually want to pull through with it. Like, especially when you see Delight here on the Zac with the passive still up, you're like doubling down on the tower dive, even though you know you're not going to kill him on the first interaction. And then on the second interaction, they just don't jagger the aggro correctly, and the minions ran out as well, and just chaos total chaos right now. As ambitious Ram, look at the damage of the Sheen already by D Kenny here. This is what we talked about, and Azco is baiting his AD carry right now. They do spot him, but D Kenny itemization is Jiriel, something I want to talk with you about. You mentioned the Kindred's Trinity Force, now Ezreal's Trinity Force. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think that Divine Thunder is better personally. I guess Trinity Force does work. Like, I don't hate it. I prefer it than on the Kindred, to be honest. I think I still would have preferred the Kraken Slayer for the Kindred themselves. It looks like they're going for the Wit's End second as well. But on Ezreal, yeah, I think Divine Thunder is still a pretty popular build, but D Kenny definitely able to do quite a bit of damage on to Ram. So we'll have to see how that one does play out. But the issue that I am a bit worried about is the fact that they are going to have to play against quite a tanky front line. And so far, they haven't really built much anti-tank. So I'm going to be interested to see how this one plays out. As Typo, they're going to go aggressive. Will jump away. I am surprised as well. Now we do see the TP. Typo was autoing the ward that was coming through as Gandhi now trying to lock off the fight, but in the middle of it, it is Creon King picking up the first kill. Delight now trying to stun them up, but Cat's going to fall immediately, and Ram trying to kite away from the Gwen, but they're able to just dash forward, and the Ezreal with the damage picks up the Vayne. On the backside of the fight, though, we do see Typo taken down by the set, as Gandhi was able to win that 1v1. A little bit of indecision there. Once again, a little bit of hesitation from the Kindred did mean that they backed out a little bit early, and then kind of got caught behind this TP, as Gandhi trying to cause some pressure, but is just having to play dodgeball with D Kenny.
Yeah, and Gandhi going aggressive once again. There's a can shift there to cancel the E. Yeah,
Gandhi's probably not going to be able to get anywhere near this dragon. Would like to try and contest it, but it is going to go over to Creon King. That is the third dragon of the game. One away from Soul, which is always the goal. And Mountain Soul going to be pretty big for the side.
Gandhi's getting caught right now because he took so long to recall. Crion's gonna find him.
He is indeed. Creon able to get here, and with the snip, just cutting his life in half. The Haymaker gonna go slightly wide. Nice little skip there from Creon, as now Kenny looking to get a bit of damage onto Rokori, but will not go all the way.
Yeah, really questionable plays here once again, Ronin. They did have a great early game this time around. I was really pleased and happy with them, but Ablaze just pulling through, showing once again that there's a bit of a gap when it comes to skill and decision making. Sure, they took a few minutes to decide, do we want to get Zac passive or not in the mid lane tower, but other than that, their team fighting is pretty clean as soon as they get all 5 members there. And yeah, beautiful Monsi had such a great engage there with his Everfrost, as well as the teleport coming in, getting the stunned card, the yellow card instantly onto Ram. He didn't move at all, he just got taken out. I think he autoed like once in that whole team fight, so no Vayne damage during that team fight, which decided how the rest of that team fight would have gone. Then obviously Gran also joining into the backline and taking out everybody else that was a threat. Only Typo wasn't present. He got zoned away by Gandhi, and yeah, Gandhi paid with it with his life there in the end, in the prolonged fight. So yeah, overall it's an unofficial ace coming through, as we have the second Herald maybe under pressure here, but it's only 50 seconds before it's expiring, even less before it's expiring, but only 50 seconds to the Baron.
Yeah, and Creon King definitely someone that you have to watch out if you are Ronin, because he's able to do a lot of damage, and obviously that true damage can shred through those tanks really easily. They will be able to pick up the second Herald there, as they're really able to start pushing the pressure of this game. It felt very even at the start, if not even slightly Ronin favoured, but in the last few minutes it does feel like Ablaze has been able to pick up the pace and start to get a bit of a lead themselves. 3k in the gold overall.
The Ablaze train is alive. They are just slowly but surely making everything going in their favor right now. The only thing that I have a bit hope for Ronin is right now that they do have indeed those tanky front lines, like we mentioned in champion selection, the Zed and the Zac, and together with Bomb, that gives you nice beefy front lines. So if they are able to protect Ram and Hounded long enough for them to dish out damage, I think there's a big chance to blow up these carries here on the other side. The only issue being that literally everyone on the other side, besides Nautilus, is a carry. So you would have to survive the quadruple damage threat here coming through. Rokori blocking as well, really nice inclination there. But yeah, other than that, complete control for Ablaze.
And visually, that's one of my favourite interactions in the game. Rokori just blocking the True Shot Barrage. I think the only one that's nicer than that is maybe blocking the culling from Lucian. That always looks pretty nice on the Bronze Shield. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think they have a front line. They're going to have to really hardcore protect Hounded and Ram, because if they ever get onto the back line of the side of Ronin, it is GG. It's 4 versus 2 in terms of actual carry potential, and that doesn't bode well if your carry gets taken down early. If you lose one of those two, that's 50% of your damage pretty much taken away immediately. And as we've seen, Creon King can slice through that snake, and Ram needs to be very cautious of the Ezreal. So looking at Rokori to really put in a big shift to try and stop those range damages coming through, as we also think that Gandhi kind of needs to be the one to stop the Gwen. I feel like you need to kind of throw her away into the backline to keep your ADC and your mid safe. The same with Delight, looking for the just bounce to try and just stall out the fight a little bit longer. But we do see a catch onto Rokori here. Is going to be in a bit of a risky situation, but able to jump away to Delight. And now Gandhi going to be coming through, but will be hit with a stun card. Delight looking for the knockup, but not going to be able to find it. Ice Hounded on the side, almost stepping a little bit too far forward. You do not want to be caught out yourself.
Yeah, we nearly also had the Kindred stack number 9, which means the ultimate upgrade here, since she's gonna have then all of the 9 stacks in her favor, which makes her really, really powerful. Wait, is it after 4 or after 3? Every 3 marks, right? Yeah.
So after 4 is the initial, and then every 3 after that.
Yeah, okay.
So 7, 10.
Okay, so it's 2 more marks for her, but the Baron has been started, and it's not
it's not stolen, and Delight now in a lot of trouble here. Will be picked up. The blobs are going to be immediately removed, and that is going to mean sole point for the side of Ablaze. They go from strength to strength, picking up the Baron. Now it's going to be the Dragon Soul, unless the side of Ronin can really pull forward and find a massive team fight.
Yeah, I'm really questioning here the engage. Like, sure, you can give a Baron, but do you really want to give a team that has no frontline and Mountain Soul and make them kind of tankier, even harder to kill, the quadruple damage threat coming through? It's still better than an Infernal Soul, don't get me wrong, but definitely would have loved that they at least contest the Soul here. At this point, they can't whatsoever. I think if they move up, it is the for sure doom and the end of the game.
Yeah, and there's a reason they banned Kindred in game 1. It's been a really strong pick for Typo, and here comes the fight. They do get the Winter's Bite onto Kindred, looking to lock them up, but Vayne in a little bit of a questionable situation, although saying that, Typo going to have to use the Lamb's Respite immediately, do have the Condemn to try and knock them out, and they are going to be able to pick up the first, but now they're coming through, and there goes Vayne. 50% of the damage already gone. Cass is also taken down as well, and Gandhi trying to survive. They didn't even manage to pick up Typo, who just survived in that middle of the fight, and it's just an easy wipe from the side of Ablaze. And now Ronin really need to hold on to something, as D. Kenny isn't going to spar the Brom. Very cheeky recall there. And the towers are going to be a threat, though. Mid tier 2, bot tier 1. It is all going to be pushed in.
They got both the carries instantly out of the fight. S11 was zoned away instantly by the Gwen here, and then Ambitious Ram just got dive on by 3 people. And right now the smart thing would be for Kindred to stop farming and actually push in the mid lane together for a team, but instead she's going to go for the top side. Meanwhile, Not is going to pay for it.
And Delight is able to walk forward. Monzi didn't have enough damage to pick them up, as Kindred does go over to the top side, but they are going to be looking to maybe mount an attack on this one as they send up Icehound. And Corey as
they
well.
should really utilize the Baron right now. Every minute and every second that they don't utilize this Baron right now, sure, they got a tier 2 on the top lane thanks to the waves being in place. But I was kind of lucky they didn't prepare that wave, just that wave crashing. But yeah, if you get all the tier 2s with that Baron buff right now, you would have complete control of the game. Like this, you give Ronin yet another chance for a slight comeback if they play it correctly. They need the itemizations to come through though. You can see the triple itemizations coming through on everybody on Ablaze. And on the other side, Ronin is struggling to get the 2 items and a half. But yeah, we need to get those items number 3 into the inventory of the Vayne especially. And Icehound, who needs that healing reduction. You can see he's working on it. I don't think he should maybe look towards completing it. It does help, but he should definitely get some more AP damage into his kits, because if he pops off and is able to 1v1 the Gwen or anybody of that sort, he will be doing so much more damage.
Yeah, and a very unique build for Typo as well. The Blade of the Rune King as well, so going full on hit with the Kindred, and it's definitely working out. It's pretty cool as well to see this new build, as we will see. Right now, the tanks still not getting super tanky. The item lead and the gold lead very much in Ablaze's favor, and it's kind of the win condition that they had in this game, as we do see Monzi there. Going to be caught out here by Delight, will be dragged back. Icehound going to have the damage to easily pick this one up, as they don't give it over to the Cass. It was over to Rikori. A little bit questionable. The mid tier 2 is going to be taken down, as team still on the push, but now 3 versus 5 with winning the bot lane. They do need to be very careful here. D. Kenny going to be slammed against Azko, and now onto the back line we do see Gandhi going to slam down D. Kenny once again, but the team seems to have kind of disappeared as Gwen has joined the fight. Rikori able to hold back the Gwen as they do pick that one up, but Ambitious Ram now looking to go forward. Azko in a lot of trouble here. It's not going to be too healthy as Cass and Vayne able to unload their damage, but in goes D. Kenny picking up 1 kill, and with the Lamb's Respite, Kindred able to slow down the pace of the fight. Icehound now in trouble, gets taken down by the Ezreal as they look to pick up the rest of the team. Delight falls down. Rikori will be next. Azko on the chase, should be able to hook him in, and once they do, he will be put in the bin. A nice pick up there for the Ezreal and the Nautilus combo, and potentially the end of the game. 10 seconds before Gandhi respawns.
Yeah, interestingly enough, they chose to fight a very awkward spot there, like in front of the tower instead of like under the tower. I'm pretty sure if they would have waited 5 more seconds, they would have ran into the tower. But this could potentially be game. It's 10 seconds though, so if they do not be careful
haymaker
here,
but it does not mean anything. They have the damage to secure the kill, and that will probably be the bill. They've called for it. They're looking to end this game. They take the 2 Nexus towers. They're going to be taking even more as Ram tries to put up a defense, but they can just break open the Nexus. The extra 50 gold in their pocket as they lock it. This is going to be the end of the game. 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, real strong performance there by Ablaze in the end. Did take a bit of time to get ready in the second game, but the first game was no doubt whatsoever theirs, and the second game in the end definitely also going in their favor. No doubts anywhere. I think this is a very deserved win. They were superior in many aspects when it came to laning phase as well to the jungle presence. We did have seen a great showing of Ronin there in the bot lane this time around. I was really surprised by Ambitious Ram and Rikori that they did so well against D Kenny this time on the Israel. So yeah, really happy that they have at least a few positive points that they can maybe contribute to in their next games, or they can build on their strengths for the future. But they do really need to get their top and their jungle synergy in order with the rest of the team. We saw Gandhi in that last team fight completely alone against 4 people. Meanwhile, everybody else is battling Crying King under the tower. And yeah, if you have different ideas of the team fights, it's not going to work well for your synergy, especially if you only have 2 damage threats, which is Icehound and, in this case, Ambitious Ram or this Vayne. So yeah, those 2 can only focus 1 person or 2 people at most. And yeah, really bad decision making in the end and prioritization of targets. But other than that, we have to give credit where credit is due. Ablaze, beautiful series, well played. Typo had a great and firm handling of where to direct the game. I think director Typo is beautifully in place today, and great showing on Kindred, even better showing on Lilia before.
Yeah, and that is a really good series. I think Ablaze really showing to everyone in their group that they're not someone to mess around with. They are definitely strong, they're definitely looking good, and they know how to play some League of Legends. So all in all, a pretty good performance for them. We do have an interview with D Kenny B, and hopefully he will be joining us in a quick second to break down kind of what was happening in the game. So hello, D Kenny B, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. He just won, so obviously.
Yeah. Congratulations from our side. Really great series in the end there. You did seem to be left alone quite a lot in the second game. Your Nautilus was nowhere to be seen in your laning phase, but that didn't keep you from being aggressive. So yeah, walk me through 2 things here. First game, I think, was pretty one-sided. Not too much to talk about. The leader took over the game instantly. But the second game, you chose this Ezreal and then the Nautilus. What was the reasoning behind the Nautilus over to like maybe an enchanter that could have been beneficial for the Kindred as well as for you?
Ascot is a lot more comfortable on the hook type champions, or like the Leonas, the Engagers. And if I can stay pretty safe, I can be on my own. I don't have to have that much attention and still get farm, still get my items. That means Ascot can go play with the rest of the team, and it ends up being a pretty nice situation for us because I'm going even with the bot lane, and then top lane and mid lane are getting ahead.
Nice.
Jungle.
Does make perfect sense to me. On the other side, you did have some crazy itemizations. Already in the first game, Lilia went for that Ludens, which surprised us a lot, but it did work out in the end as she had most damage. This time out, you and Kindred, once again, here your jungler, being in the spotlight. What is it that you guys made, or what made you choose this Trinity Force as your mythic item here?
I'm not sure about Kindred because I don't think I've ever touched the champion, but I know for Ezreal, I think it just deals more damage, and it's just.
So you aren't worried whatsoever about the front line, maybe, or you thought like you're gonna get the lead no matter what, so the front line doesn't really matter since they are gonna be under itemized.
We have a lot of damage, like on our combo for all. We've got a Gwen, a Kindred, and an Ezreal, so not that big of an issue, I don't think.
Okay. Great to hear your side of the story. Definitely did work out in the end there. You're going to build, what was your last item you were building towards with the Glacial Buckler here?
The Frozen Heart.
Frozen Heart, okay, just to negate any damage whatsoever coming towards you. And when it comes to your next games, do you know already who you're going to play?
I think we're against Blue Moon Badgers next, which we are really looking forward to playing against because I know a lot of people on that team and I am looking forward to playing them, and I think the drafts will be pretty interesting because we both do weird things, so that should be fun.
And with that in mind, like of teams that you're going to be playing next, is there anyone that you're really looking out for in your series? Because obviously this game, you guys both had 1 point, you guys were both looking quite strong, and you kind of came through and you did a pretty good showing there for Ablaze. Is there anyone that Ablaze is kind of worried about playing against, or anyone that you're kind of like a little bit nervous because they seem really good?
I've not really looked at the teams, honestly, so I can't really say.
Price. All good.
I know ECL is in the other division. They look pretty okay. And we played with Honest Sleep last split, so we want to go against him this split. So we'll have to meet in the finals or something.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck, and maybe one day we'll be getting to see your infamous misfortune pick, if it's not banned against you. But yeah, one day maybe. But until then, we wish you the best of luck in the upcoming games, and hope you enjoy.
Thank you.
Have a pleasant evening and see you later. And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, JWheel, I'll give you the mic in just a bit here after this interview. What do you think, my man, about this series? I want to hear your thoughts on the series as well.
Yeah, well, overall, it was a really good series. I think that Ablaze showed off a lot of skill, and I think that it was kind of unfortunate for Ronin. I think that the Ablaze kind of had their number, and also it was a sentiment where I think the picks that they preferred just kind of got countered automatically by picks that Ablaze preferred. So maybe it was just a little bit of a matchup that was kind of unfavored for them. But I do think Ronin could come back on another day and really perform well because they were close. There were a lot of moments which could have kind of swung their way that could have maybe changed the pace and course of the fight. So I think that both teams need to look away at this game and kind of take their positives where they saw them and then try and work on the things that they could work on.
Yeah, I also think that the key to shutting down Ablaze, for anybody that's going to play them in the future, definitely listen to this. It is shutting down Typo because he seemed to have not only a great handling of his own champions, but also kind of dictating the game and the outcome of it. So yeah, whenever he got fed, his team was automatically winning after that, since he was giving gold over to the lanes. On the other side, the Light didn't have a bad showing in the second game here, but he got all the gold for himself, if by accident or voluntarily, means that in the end, no gold was left for his laners, and yeah, Icehound and Ambitious Ram, resulting in that with a bit less damage in the end there and also less efficiency for the team. But yeah, other than that, Ablaze definitely great showing today. Ronin, some work to do back to the drawing board, and we wish that you come back stronger. For now, JWheel, what's the plan for the next 2 minutes here?
Well, for the next 2 minutes, I believe that we are going to be ending the stream pretty shortly. That was the series of today, and it was a pretty good showing indeed. And it was a good debut from us as well. I had a good time. I really enjoyed Vans League and definitely would like to cast in more.
Yeah, and if you're interested in anything else, make sure to check them out. I think every Monday and Thursday is when they stream. So yeah, come check them out on twitch.tv/official Valence League, and you'll be seeing more of these glorious games. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. We had a blast, and we hope to see you next week again.